Have you ever wondered what really makes some people smarter than others, not just in tests or school, but in everyday life? It's not about being born with a special brain or having all the answers. It's about the habits they build and the way they choose to live their lives every single day. What if you could start getting smarter right now by making small, simple changes in how you think and act? This book is about becoming smarter every day by learning and practicing 10 powerful habits that smart people use. These habits aren't complicated tricks or secret formulas. They're straightforward, practical ways to help you think clearer, learn better, and make smarter decisions. Each habit you build adds up, helping you grow stronger in your mind and more confident in your choices. Imagine ending each day knowing you've taken steps to improve yourself, facing challenges with calm focus and learning from everything around you. Picture a life where distractions don't control you, where you ask better questions, and where you listen carefully to understand others deeply. That's what this journey is about, training your mind and habits so you can live better, no matter your age or situation. This book will guide you through each habit with clear advice and real steps you can use immediately. It's not about perfection, but about steady, meaningful progress. If you're ready to take control of your mind and become smarter every day, this is the path to follow. Are you ready to start? Chapter 1. Develop the habit of learning something completely new daily. Most people wake up each day and dive right back into the same rhythm they lived yesterday. Same thoughts, same habits, same beliefs. It's comfortable, predictable, and easy to repeat. But the problem with this kind of living is that it leaves no room for growth. If you live today just like you lived yesterday and do it again tomorrow, you may survive, but you won't evolve. Smart people don't live this way. They build a different kind of momentum. They commit to one powerful habit that sets them apart. They choose to learn something new every single day. When you develop the habit of learning something completely new every day, you're not just adding random facts to your memory. You're reshaping how you see the world. You're building the ability to think in fresh ways, make better decisions, and stay mentally alive no matter how old you are. Learning keeps your brain sharp, your perspective wide, and your confidence strong. It's not about being the smartest in the room. It's about being curious, open, and willing to grow in ways others ignore. That mindset is rare, and it's exactly what you need to create a life that doesn't stagnate. Start with one new thing. That's all it takes. One new insight, one new idea, one new skill, one new fact. But it has to be intentional. You have to decide that no matter how busy you are, no matter what your day looks like, you will walk away with something new in your mind that wasn't there when you woke up. That small shift in intention can change the entire trajectory of your thinking. Because once you start doing it, your brain adapts. You stop waiting for information to come to you. You go looking for it. You build a mental routine that says, I will not go to sleep tonight until I've learned something that moved me forward. This doesn't mean you have to read an entire book every day or take hours out of your schedule. Real learning happens in small doses, when you pay attention, when you seek, when you absorb what matters. Some days you'll read a paragraph that makes you rethink your priority. Other days you'll hear something in conversation that teaches you more than a lecture ever could. The point is to stay awake to learning, keep your mind active, stay curious, stay engaged with life. Most people stop learning after school. They tie learning to grades, exams, and pressure, and once they escape that system, they stop reaching for new knowledge. But this is where smart people do something different. They don't wait to be taught. They become self-taught. They treat the world like a classroom. They learn from books, from people, from failure, from observation, from deep reflection, and they do it every single day. Not once in a while, not when it's convenient, but consistently. because they understand that if their mind isn't expanding, it's shrinking. You become what you consume. If you feed your brain with noise, entertainment, and surface-level content, don't be surprised if your thinking starts to lose depth. If you spend hours scrolling through other people's lives, but not 10 minutes learning something that adds value to your own, your mental energy will slowly erode. Smart people protect their minds. They treat their attention like a valuable resource. They don't waste time on things that teach them nothing. They're selective. They choose what enters their mental space. They look for ideas that challenge them, information that improves them, and lessons that sharpen their character. This is how you build a strong inner world. It's not about knowing everything. It's about becoming someone who never stops growing. There's a quiet strength in knowing that each day you've improved, even in a small way. That strength builds confidence. It builds wisdom, and over time it becomes the foundation of real intelligence, not just in knowledge, but in how you live. One powerful way to begin is to keep a learning journal. It's not about writing long essays or formal notes, just one sentence a day. One insight you picked up, one thing you didn't know yesterday that now makes sense. The act of writing it down helps you remember it, apply it, and reflect on it. Over time, you'll have a record of growth, a collection of your expanding awareness. This isn't just useful, it's motivating. On the days you feel stuck, looking back at what you've learned reminds you that you're not the same person you were months ago. You've changed, you've grown, and it wasn't by accident. It was because you made the decision to learn daily. Another key practice is to ask better questions. Learning doesn't happen if you're always trying to confirm what you already know. You grow when you ask, "What don't I know?" or "What can I understand better?" or "What if I'm wrong about this?" Smart people don't fear not knowing. They fear staying ignorant. So they question, they challenge their own assumptions. They seek clarity, not comfort. And they learn faster because of it. Make your environment support your growth. Fill your space with books. Subscribe to thoughtful channels. Follow people who teach, not just entertain. Spend time with individuals who think deeply and speak with intention. Listen more than you talk. Reflect more than you react. Create a personal culture where learning is part of your identity, not just an occasional activity. If you design your life around growth, you'll find it easier to absorb wisdom because it's woven into the way you live. Apply what you learn. This is where most people fall short. They read something valuable and do nothing with it. But smart people act, even if it's just one small behavior shift. If you read about time management, change one habit. If you learn something about nutrition, adjust one meal. If you gain a new perspective on a personal flaw, work on it that day. Application turns learning into transformation. It makes the lesson stick. It turns knowledge into wisdom. Without action, learning becomes trivia. With action, it becomes power. You don't need a massive plan. You don't need a perfect schedule. You need one core decision: to stop wasting your time with things that numb your mind and start feeding it with things that make you wiser. This is not just about intelligence, it's about direction. When you learn, you grow. When you grow, you move forward. And when you move forward with intention, your life begins to reflect the strength of your thinking. Every time you learn something new, your brain forms new connections. Your mind becomes more agile. You see patterns others miss. You make decisions faster. You understand people better. You become harder to manipulate. You become more independent in thought. And most importantly, you become someone who refuses to live life on autopilot. This habit also makes you more resilient. Life will always test you, but when you're learning daily, you build mental tools to deal with stress, failure, uncertainty, and conflict. You learn emotional intelligence. You learn perspective. You learn discipline. And you're able to respond to challenges instead of reacting from fear. That's the strength of someone who has built themselves from the inside out. The smartest people are not always the ones with degrees or the highest IQs. They're the ones who stay humble enough to know they don't know everything, and disciplined enough to change that every day. They don't compete with others. They compete with who they were yesterday. That mindset changes everything. If you want to live a richer life, one filled with clarity, confidence, and control, start today. Pick up a book that makes you think. Watch a documentary that challenges your views. Have a conversation that stretches your comfort zone. Listen to a podcast that teaches something useful. Learn a new word. Study a new subject. Expand your world by 1 inch today. Then do it again tomorrow. This habit won't give you instant results, but over time, it will change who you are. It will sharpen your decisions. It will strengthen your beliefs. It will open doors that others don't even know exist. And it will give you something very few people ever experience: the deep, quiet confidence of knowing that no matter what happens around you, you are becoming smarter every single day on purpose. Never underestimate the power of a curious mind. It's not a personality trait. It's a decision. Decide to learn something new daily, and you will never be the same. Not because the world changes, but because you do. And when you change, the way you see the world changes too. That is the real reward of this habit. You start to think with depth. You begin to see what others miss, and you create a life guided not by chance, but by awareness, wisdom, and consistent self-growth. Make this your daily standard. Not a hobby, not a challenge, but a lifestyle. Every day is a chance to become more aware, more skilled, more intelligent. Every day is a blank page for growth. The smartest people are not gifted. They are consistent. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do one thing. Learn. And keep learning. That's how you stay sharp. That's how you stay ready. And that's how you become smarter every single day. By Chapter 2, Train your brain to question everything you believe. Most people never stop to question the thoughts that shape their lives. They accept what they were told as children, follow the patterns they were raised with, and live by ideas that were never truly their own. Beliefs become invisible walls, and without realizing it, many live inside a mental structure they didn't choose, defending views they never examined. But smart people do the opposite. They train their minds to question everything they believe, not out of doubt or insecurity, but because they understand that true strength begins where blind certainty ends. What you believe about yourself, others, success, failure, life, and the world, all of it influences your choices, your emotions, your reactions, your confidence, your fears, and your future. That's why questioning your beliefs is not just an intellectual exercise, it's a requirement for personal freedom. If you never question your thinking, you remain trapped in outdated assumptions. You build a life based on limits that don't belong to you. You repeat the same mistakes. You reinforce habits that hold you back. And worst of all, you live by truths that might not be true. Smart people interrupt this pattern. They stop and think. They examine the lens they're looking through. They ask themselves, where did this belief come from? Who gave it to me? Is it based on evidence or just experience? Is it helping me or is it hurting me? They don't ask these questions to create confusion. They do it to gain clarity. The more deeply you question what you believe, the more clearly you see where your beliefs are leading you. Your brain isn't designed to seek truth. It's designed to protect you. It will hold on to beliefs that feel safe, familiar, and emotionally comforting, even if those beliefs are false. That's why people cling to harmful ideas, that they're not good enough, that success is only for others, that change is too hard, that failure defines them. These beliefs are not facts, they're patterns, and they can be rewired. But only if you stop defending them and start inspecting them. The moment you question a belief is the moment you begin to free yourself from it. You're no longer under its control. You become the one in charge. That is where real intelligence begins. Not in knowing more, but in thinking more clearly. And clear thinking begins with self-inquiry. Ask yourself what you believe about hard work, about love, about money, about people, about your past, about what you're capable of. Then go deeper. Where did those beliefs begin? What evidence have you accepted without testing? What patterns have you repeated without thinking? What fears are hiding behind your certainties? These questions are not easy to face. They can feel uncomfortable, but they are essential, because without them, you stay stuck. The smartest people in the world change their minds. They grow. They evolve. They let go of outdated thinking. They don't tie their identity to a fixed worldview. They don't try to win arguments. They try to find the truth. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's the strength of someone who is more committed to progress than pride. You are not your beliefs. You are the awareness behind your beliefs. And when you become aware that a belief is false, limited, or harmful, you can drop it. You don't have to carry it anymore. That's the beauty of questioning your mind. It gives you back your freedom. Most limiting beliefs are not even conscious. They show up as patterns, as the way you talk to yourself, as the decisions you avoid, as the dreams you downplay. If you don't investigate them, they guide your life without permission. You keep shrinking to fit inside a story that never belonged to you. But once you recognize a limiting belief, it loses power. You don't have to fight it. You just stop feeding it. That is the beginning of transformation. Training your brain to question your beliefs is a habit. It takes consistency. It takes honesty. It takes the willingness to be wrong. But it leads to a kind of mental freedom most people never experience. You become mentally flexible, emotionally grounded, intellectually alive, and no one can manipulate you with fear or falsehoods, because you've built the strength to think for yourself. You will never outgrow the need to examine your thinking. Even the wisest people stay humble enough to doubt their own perspective. They know that certainty can blind you, that the world is always changing, that personal growth means being willing to update your beliefs, your models, and your understanding. This isn't about doubting everything. It's about examining everything. It's about asking better questions, so you can live with better answers. The strongest minds are built on this discipline, not because they know more, but because they see more. They aren't afraid to say, "I was wrong." They aren't too proud to say, "I've changed my mind." They aren't too fragile to say, "I don't know yet, but I'm learning." This humility creates growth. This honesty creates strength. And this willingness creates wisdom. There is no shame in discovering that you've been thinking in a limited way. The only shame is refusing to grow once you know better. And the truth is, we all carry beliefs that need to be upgraded. The sooner you begin to challenge them, the sooner your life reflects the clarity of your new thinking. Don't assume your first thought is your best thought. Pause. Observe. Dig deeper. Ask what else might be true. Ask if your belief is rooted in fear or in fact. Ask if it's based on old pain or on present possibilities. Ask if it's something you would teach someone you love. If not, why teach it to yourself? This level of inner work isn't always comfortable, But it's always worth it, because when you question your mind, you stop being a prisoner to it. You stop reacting based on old programming. You start choosing based on awareness. That's how you take control of your life, not by controlling everything outside you, but by mastering what's happening inside you. You don't have to change every belief overnight. You only need to start noticing. Start paying attention to the patterns that keep showing up in your thoughts, the doubts, the assumptions, the judgments. Trace them back to their origin. Ask yourself who taught you to think that way. Then ask yourself if it still serves you. If it doesn't, let it go. This habit will make you stronger, clearer, and more grounded. You'll stop arguing for your limitations. You'll stop defending beliefs that are slowly destroying your confidence, and you'll begin to rebuild your mind around truth, clarity, and courage. Your beliefs are the foundation of your life. If they are strong, your decisions are strong. If they are weak, your confidence will crack under pressure. So take them seriously. Test them. Challenge them. Don't settle for mental shortcuts. Build your beliefs with intention, not inheritance. Every time you question a belief, you give yourself a chance to upgrade your life. Every time you hold a thought to the light of reason, you step closer to freedom. Every time you drop a false idea, you create space for a better one. This is the work of smart people, and this is the habit that will serve you every single day for the rest of your life. Chapter 3. Strengthen your focus by removing daily mental clutter. Focus is not just a skill. It is a form of mental discipline that decides how you live, how much you accomplish, and how deeply you experience life. But in today's world, focus is under attack. Your mind is bombarded with inputs that compete for your attention: notifications, messages, conversations, media, worries, unfinished tasks, and the endless noise of modern life. Most people walk through their days distracted without even realizing it. Their minds feel heavy, scattered, and drained. They sit down to work and can't stay with a single thought for more than a few minutes. They plan their goals, but never complete them. They want clarity, but live in constant fog. The reason is simple: there's too much mental clutter. Mental clutter isn't just about technology or external noise. It's the buildup of unprocessed thoughts, unimportant obligations, shallow information, emotional baggage, and pointless mental loops. It's when your mind becomes crowded with things that don't matter but still occupy space. This mental overload slows you down. It keeps you reactive instead of focused. It prevents deep thinking, and it leaves you feeling mentally tired, even when you haven't done anything meaningful. Smart people understand this and take it seriously. They protect their attention by clearing their mind of what is not useful. They make space for what matters by removing what doesn't. The first step to building strong focus is to acknowledge how much unnecessary information you're carrying. You can't fix what you ignore. Take a quiet moment and observe your own thoughts. How many are repeated from yesterday? How many are negative loops you've never interrupted? How many are tasks you haven't started but keep thinking about? How many are thoughts about things you can't control? These are all forms of clutter. They take energy. They steal your focus, and they must be cleaned out. Start by becoming more selective with what you allow into your mind. You don't have to consume everything available to you. Just because something is loud, urgent, or trending doesn't mean it deserves your attention. Train yourself to pause before reacting. Ask yourself whether this input serves your current goals. If it doesn't, don't absorb it. Not every email needs a reply. Not every headline needs a read. Not every opinion needs your engagement. Attention is limited. Give it only to what moves you forward. Another powerful way to reduce mental clutter is to stop multitasking. Dividing your attention between multiple tasks at once creates shallow results and deeper exhaustion. It makes you feel productive, but it leaves your work unfinished and your mind scattered. Smart people focus on one thing at a time. They give their full presence to the task in front of them, then move on. This isn't just about productivity, it's about quality. You create better outcomes and use less energy when your mind isn't being pulled in different directions. You also need to deal with unfinished mental loops. These are the thoughts you keep coming back to because they haven't been resolved or written down. They occupy your mind like open tabs in a browser. One of the most effective habits for focus is to write things down. Clear your mind onto paper. Don't try to hold it all in your head. Make lists, create schedules, journal your worries. Get it out of your mind so your brain can focus on what's important instead of juggling everything in silence. Protecting your physical environment is another part of removing mental clutter. A messy space often reflects a messy mind. When you walk into a room that is cluttered with random items, visual noise enters your mental space even before you realize it. Organize your space in a way that invites clarity. Clean surfaces, minimal distractions, everything in its place. This doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to create a feeling of openness. The more order there is around you, the more calm there is within you. Focus also requires emotional clarity. Unspoken frustrations, unresolved conflicts, or lingering guilt all act as distractions. You may try to focus on a task, but part of your mind is still processing what you haven't dealt with. Be honest with yourself about what you're carrying emotionally. Address what you can. Forgive what you must. Speak when you need to. Don't bury emotions, sort them. That mental and emotional clarity creates the inner stillness that focus thrives on. Simplify your digital world. Most people allow their devices to run their attention. Notifications go off constantly. Apps are opened without thought. News, feeds, updates, all pouring in without filter. If your phone grabs your focus every few minutes, your brain never enters a deep state of thinking. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Move distracting apps off your home screen. Use your phone with intention, not impulse. Create boundaries with technology, or it will own your time and weaken your mind. Build mental clarity by starting your day in silence. Before the world enters your awareness, give yourself a quiet space to think. Don't jump straight into noise. Give your brain time to settle, to prepare, to breathe. Even 10 minutes of stillness in the morning can sharpen your focus for the entire day. Use that time to set an intention, reflect on your priorities, and enter your work with clarity, not chaos. One of the most overlooked sources of mental clutter is decision fatigue. You make hundreds of small choices daily, and over time they drain your mental energy. Smart people reduce unnecessary decisions. They plan their meals, simplify their wardrobe, and create routines so they don't waste energy on trivial choices. This frees up focus for what really matters. The more automatic your simple choices become, the more power you have for meaningful thought. You also need to guard your focus against people who drain it. If you're constantly exposed to people who gossip, complain, or distract you from your values, your focus will suffer. Be selective with your interaction. Surround yourself with people who value growth, who support clarity, and who respect your mental space. You don't owe your attention to everyone. Give it where it brings value, not where it gets consumed. Clear mental clutter by setting boundaries with your time. If your schedule is packed with commitments that don't align with your priorities, your focus will be pulled in too many directions. Learn to say no to things that don't serve your growth. Give yourself permission to protect your time, not fill it. The goal is not to be busy. The goal is to be focused on what actually matters. Focus strengthens with training. Every time you resist distraction, you're building that mental muscle. Every time you stay present with one task, you're sharpening your clarity. Every time you clear your environment, your emotions and your schedule, you're making space for real thought. And over time this creates a new normal, a state where your mind feels lighter, your thinking becomes deeper, and your days feel more meaningful. When your mind is clear, everything improves. You make better decisions. You feel less overwhelmed. You respond instead of react. You move with direction instead of distraction. And that's not a small change. That's a new way of living. Mental clutter may be common, but it's not natural. It's something we've allowed, and it's something we can remove. Every day you have a choice. You can live in mental noise, or you can choose clarity. You can keep absorbing distraction, or you can build focus. You can allow your mind to stay full of things that don't matter, or you can create space for what does. Focus is not about trying harder, it's about clearing the path. It's about designing your environment, your routines, and your mind in a way that supports attention. The sharper your focus becomes, the more power you have over your life. You stop being pulled by everything around you, and start being guided by what's most important within you. You don't need more hours in the day. You need fewer distractions. You don't need more motivation. You need more clarity. And you don't need to do everything. You just need to focus on what matters and remove what doesn't. That's the practice. That's the habit. And that's how smart people stay ahead. Not with more noise, but with less. Not with more effort, but with sharper attention. This is your starting point. Remove the clutter, strengthen your focus, and take back control of your mind. Chapter 4. Track your thoughts to understand how you think. Most people have no idea what's really going on in their mind. They wake up and immediately start reacting to the world around them, letting thoughts move through their head without pause, without control, without awareness. They think all day long, but they never stop to look at the thoughts themselves. And when you don't observe your thinking, you have no idea how it's shaping your life. You assume you're in control, but your patterns are running the show. The smartest people understand this. They don't just think, they pay attention to their thinking. They track their thoughts with clarity so they can understand how their mind actually works. That's how they grow. That's how they improve. That's how they make real change. If you want to develop better habits, make wiser decisions, or build emotional strength, you have to begin by understanding what's happening in your own head. You can't fix what you don't notice. You can't improve what you don't track. Your thoughts are the starting point of every action you take. Behind every choice is a belief. Behind every belief is a pattern. And behind every pattern is a thought you've repeated so many times that it feels automatic. But no thought is permanent. No mindset is locked in place. You can shift the way you think, but only if you're willing to first look at it with honesty. Tracking your thoughts is not about judging them or forcing yourself to think differently. It's about observing them in real time and learning how they function. What do you think about when you're alone? What loops keep coming back every day? What triggers a negative reaction in you? What sparks excitement or fear? What do you say to yourself when something goes wrong? These are the questions that reveal who you really are. Not the version you show the world, but the one you live with in silence. One of the most powerful practices you can adopt is to write down your thoughts as they are. Not how you wish they were, not how you think they should be, but exactly as they come. Write them without editing, without trying to make them sound good. This is not a performance. This is an investigation. When you capture your thoughts in writing, you slow them down. You take them out of your head and see them clearly on paper. That distance gives you perspective. You stop being consumed by your thoughts and start learning from them. You might discover that many of your thoughts are repetitive, that you're carrying the same worries, the same doubts, the same self-criticism every day. You might notice how often your thinking focuses on problems instead of possibility. You might realize that the voice in your mind is not kind, not honest, and not helping you move forward. These realizations can be uncomfortable, but they are essential. They are the first signs of awareness, and awareness is what creates the power to change. There's nothing mysterious about how your thinking develops. It's a result of experience, repetition, and influence. The thoughts you repeat often enough become your reality. If you always tell yourself that you're not good enough, your actions will reflect that. If you constantly think about what could go wrong, your energy will become cautious and closed off. If your inner dialogue is full of blame, fear, or negativity, your outer life will carry that same energy. But none of this is fixed. When you track your thoughts, you can identify the ones that need to be replaced. You don't have to argue with them. You just stop believing them by default. This is not about pretending everything is positive. It's about seeing things clearly. Some thoughts are helpful, some are not. You must be able to tell the difference, and the only way to tell is to look. Thought tracking is like a mental mirror. It shows you what's going on behind the surface. It gives you the truth about your internal world, so you can navigate your external world with intention. Try this for 1 week. Set aside 10 minutes each day to reflect and write down your thoughts. Not what happened during the day, but what was going through your mind. What did you think when you woke up? What thoughts did you have when someone upset you? What were you telling yourself when you were trying to focus? How did your mind respond to stress, boredom, joy, or pressure? Capture the raw material of your thinking, then review it. Read what you've written without judgment. Just observe. What you'll find is a pattern. Everyone has mental loops they run every day. Some are useful, most are not. Once you identify your loops, you can begin to question them. You can decide which ones to keep, which ones to update, and which ones to replace entirely. You are not the victim of your thoughts. You are the thinker. And once you understand how you think, you gain the ability to think better. Another benefit of tracking your thoughts is that it builds emotional intelligence. Most emotional reactions are fueled by unexamined thoughts. You feel angry, but you don't notice the thought that triggered it. You feel anxious, but you don't catch the worry that created it. You feel defeated, but you miss the belief that caused it. When you track your thoughts, you begin to spot the early signs of emotional shifts. You see what leads to frustration, to sadness, to motivation, to calm. This awareness gives you choice. You can pause before reacting. You can shift your focus. You can redirect your energy. That's the power of understanding your thinking. It gives you control over how you feel and how you respond. This is the foundation of real self-mastery, not controlling the world, not controlling others, but controlling how you think, and therefore how you live. If you ignore your thoughts, they will run on autopilot. But if you track them, you take the first step toward mental freedom. You no longer believe every thought that enters your mind. You become selective. You become wise. You choose your thinking like you choose your actions, with purpose. The more you do this, the more you'll notice progress. Your thoughts will become more focused. Your inner dialogue will shift from doubt to direction. You'll stop arguing with reality and start working with it. You'll think with clarity, not confusion. You'll speak to yourself with honesty, not fear. And that shift will touch every area of your life, your relationships, your decisions, your goals, your mindset. This is not a one-time practice. This is a lifelong habit. You don't have to track every single thought forever. But you do need to build the habit of awareness, of stepping back, of checking in with your mind, and noticing the patterns you've allowed to grow. Some thoughts will need to be replaced, others will need to be strengthened. But the point is this: you will finally be in charge. Your thoughts create your direction. If they are clear, your path becomes clear. If they are distorted, your choices will suffer. That's why this habit is not optional. It's the root of all intelligent behavior. Smart people don't just think, they monitor their thinking. They don't just react, they observe. They don't just live, they reflect. And that's what separates those who grow from those who repeat. When you understand how you think, you understand how you live. And when you track your thoughts with honesty, you give yourself the tools to reshape your reality from the inside out. You stop being a product of your past and start becoming the designer of your future. One thought at a time. Chapter 5. Take responsibility for every choice you make daily. Every single day, you are faced with choices that shape your future. Some are small and seem unimportant. Others feel heavier and more obvious. But whether you recognize it or not, each decision you make adds up to create the direction of your life. How you respond to pressure, how you spend your time, how you treat people, what you choose to focus on, what you avoid, how you speak to yourself, these are all choices, and the most powerful thing you can do for your growth is to take full responsibility for every one of them. Not some, not just the ones that lead to success, all of them. Responsibility is not about blame, it's not about guilt, it's about ownership. It means you stop waiting for others to change. You stop hoping your circumstances will improve on their own. You stop excusing poor habits with tired explanations. When you take responsibility, you claim the truth that your life is built by your actions, your reactions, and your mindset. And this truth gives you power. As long as you're blaming anything or anyone, you're handing your power away. Most people resist responsibility because it's uncomfortable. It's easier to point to your upbringing, your environment, your boss, your past, or someone else's behavior. It's easier to say, "I couldn't help it," or "that's just the way I am." But this mindset keeps you small. It keeps you reactive. It keeps you waiting for someone else to fix what only you can change. Smart people break this pattern. They stop running from the weight of responsibility and start carrying it with strength. They know that freedom begins when excuses end. Every time you say, "I chose this," you step into your power. You admit that even if something happened outside your control, your response to it was still yours. Even if you were wronged, your reaction was still your decision. Even if you made mistakes, you can choose how to respond to them now. That mindset turns setbacks into lessons and problems into opportunities. It doesn't mean you're always at fault. It means you always have the ability to act with intention instead of reacting from emotion. You may not control the events of the world, but you absolutely control your choices. What you eat, what you say, how you move your body, what you focus on, how you spend your time, whether you follow through on your word, whether you act with integrity. These decisions are yours every day, and each one is a chance to shape the person you are becoming. No one will ever care about your future more than you, and no one can live it for you. Taking responsibility also means facing the truth about your habits. If you're constantly tired, ask yourself what decisions you're making that contribute to them. If you're stuck in the same patterns year after year, ask yourself what actions you keep repeating. If your relationships are struggling, Ask how you're showing up. This level of honesty isn't easy, but it is essential. Because you can't grow if you keep lying to yourself. You can't improve what you refuse to own. When you blame, you become a victim of your circumstances. When you take responsibility, you become a leader of your own life. That doesn't mean you won't fail. It doesn't mean you won't get knocked down. But it does mean that when you fall, you'll know how to get back up, because you won't be waiting for rescue. You'll know the path forward is in your hands. You also begin to realize that every excuse you use is a delay in your growth. Saying, "I don't have time," or "it's too hard," or "I'll do it later," might feel justified in the moment, but it adds nothing to your life. These are not real obstacles, they're mental habits. And mental habits can be changed. Smart people replace excuses with actions. They don't wait until it's easy. They don't wait until they feel motivated. They act because it's the right thing to do, not because it's convenient. Taking responsibility daily means holding yourself to a higher standard, not to punish yourself, but because you know you're capable of more. It means catching yourself when you start slipping. It means paying attention to your patterns. It means being the kind of person who keeps their promises, especially the ones they make to themselves. You don't say, "I'll try," and then give up. You say, "I'll do it," and you follow through. This isn't about perfection. You will make mistakes. You will have days when your choices don't align with your goals. But responsibility means that when those moments happen, you don't hide from them. You own them. You ask what went wrong. You adjust. You grow. That's what separates someone who stays stuck from someone who moves forward. The willingness to face reality without flinching. It's easy to believe that your circumstances define you, that your job, your family, your bank account, your history, or your struggles are who you are. But they're not. What defines you is how you respond to those things, how you rise, how you decide, how you take what you have and turn it into something better. That power is in you, and it begins with taking responsibility for what you choose, every day, without exception. This mindset also creates emotional maturity. You stop blaming others for how you feel. You stop demanding that life be fair. You stop waiting for things to be easier. Instead, you build yourself to be stronger. You take your emotions seriously, but you don't let them control you. You learn from conflict. You grow through pressure. You use discomfort as a teacher. That's what responsibility does. It forces you to grow in ways that excuses never will. When you live with this kind of responsibility, people notice. You become someone others can rely on. Someone who leads by example. Someone who doesn't talk about change. They live it. And over time, this discipline creates a foundation that nothing can shake. You stop fearing the future because you trust yourself to handle it. You stop living in regret because you know you're doing your best today. The world is full of distractions. It's full of reasons to quit, to settle, to avoid responsibility. But those who rise above are those who choose differently. Not just once, but every day. They take the uncomfortable path because they know it leads to strength. They choose accountability because it builds character. They own their choices because they understand that no one else can live their life for them. The most important decisions are often the quiet ones. The decision to wake up and show up. The decision to wake up and show up. The decision to finish what you started. The decision to speak with honesty, act with intention, and lead yourself before trying to lead others. These decisions won't always be easy, but they will always be yours. Every choice matters. Every action counts. Every moment is a chance to either take responsibility or give it away. Choose wisely, because the person you become is not built in a single day. They are built in the decisions you make daily. one choice at a time, one action at a time, one moment of ownership at a time. This is how you grow. This is how you lead. And this is how you build a life you're proud to call your own. Chapter 6. Challenge your comfort zone with one bold action. There is a place in your life where you feel safe, familiar, and unchallenged. It's not necessarily bad, but it's not where growth happens. This place is called your comfort zone. It's where routines are predictable, risks are avoided, and everything stays within a range of emotional ease. Most people build their entire lives within this space. They follow the same habits, think the same thoughts, talk to the same people, and make the same decisions over and over again. It feels secure, but it also becomes a cage. The walls aren't physical, but they are very real. And if you never challenge those walls, you'll never know how far you can go. One bold action is all it takes to begin shifting your life. Not a perfect plan, not years of preparation, just one step that breaks your usual pattern and forces you into growth. This kind of action isn't reckless, it's intentional. It's the moment when you stop waiting and start becoming. Smart people understand this. They don't seek discomfort for the sake of it. They seek it because they know nothing meaningful ever happens without it. Progress is uncomfortable. Change is unfamiliar, but both are necessary. A bold action could mean speaking up when you usually stay silent. It could mean applying for something you feel unqualified for. It could mean walking away from something that no longer serves your future. It might be starting a conversation you've been avoiding, or choosing to stand alone when it's easier to blend in. Whatever it looks like for you, the key is to act even when fear is present, especially when fear is present, because fear is often the signal that you're on the edge of something important. Growth doesn't announce itself. It waits for your courage. It waits for you to stop overthinking and start doing. Every time you choose a bold action, you push back the limits of what you believe is possible. You expand your identity. You teach your nervous system that fear does not equal danger. You rewire your brain to respond to discomfort with strength instead of avoidance. This isn't a dramatic transformation all at once. It's built action by action, step by step, moment by moment. Most people wait for permission. They wait until they feel ready, until the conditions are perfect, until the fear goes away. But that day never comes. Boldness doesn't come from waiting. It comes from deciding, from acting in spite of uncertainty, from trusting that you can handle what comes next. This mindset is not reckless. It's responsible. It's rooted in the truth that your comfort zone may protect you from failure, but it also protects you from fulfillment. And no one grows in a place where everything stays the same. Comfort feels good, but it teaches you nothing. It keeps you in repetition. It makes your world smaller. The longer you stay there, the more you convince yourself that growth is risky and staying the same is safe. But the real risk is staying where you are. The cost of comfort is potential. The cost of ease is strength. Every bold action is a rejection of stagnation. It's a commitment to becoming the version of yourself you've never met, but always knew existed. You don't need to change everything at once, just one bold move each day. One decision that disrupts your usual pattern. It doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be honest. You already know what it is. It's the thing you've been thinking about but avoiding. The thing you tell yourself you'll do eventually. The thing you admire in others but hesitate to try. That's your edge. That's where the breakthrough lives. Bold action builds confidence. Not because you succeed every time, but because you start proving to yourself that you can act without needing guarantees, that you can step forward without knowing every detail, that you can move through fear without being controlled by it. Confidence doesn't come from ease. It comes from effort, from stepping into situations where failure is possible and showing up anyway. Sometimes the most powerful action is simply to begin, to do the thing you've been postponing, to send the message, make the call, show up to the event, submit the application. Say what needs to be said. Take the first lesson. Your mind will try to convince you to wait. It will tell you that you need more time, more information, more approval. But boldness ignores that voice. Boldness acts. There's no shortcut to growth. No secret strategy, just the willingness to do what most people won't, to face the discomfort they avoid, to put yourself in situations where you're not in control of the outcome, but you are in control of your choice. That's what separates those who evolve from those who repeat. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not even opportunity. It's the courage to act when it matters. Bold action also teaches you what you're made of. It exposes weaknesses, yes, but that's how they get stronger. It reveals strengths you didn't know you had. It forces you to be resourceful. It wakes you up. It sharpens your awareness. You stop drifting and start directing. Life feels more vivid when you're acting at your edge. You stop watching others live boldly and start writing your own story. You'll never know your capacity until you test it. You'll never build resilience until you face pressure. You'll never unlock your voice until you use it. The world doesn't need more people staying safe. It needs more people who are willing to act with conviction, who take one bold step and discover that it leads to another, who stop waiting for fear to disappear and move forward anyway. This isn't about trying to be fearless. Fear is natural. It means you're doing something that matters. But fear is not the enemy. Inaction is. Every day you hesitate, comfort zone gets stronger. Every day you postpone action, the wall gets higher. But the moment you act, everything changes. You disrupt the cycle. You prove to yourself that boldness is a choice, and you begin to trust that you can keep choosing it, no matter how uncomfortable it gets. One bold action a day is enough. It doesn't have to be huge. It just has to be real. The conversation, the risk, the leap, the change. You know what it is. You've been thinking about it. Maybe you've been waiting for a sign. This is it. Growth is waiting, but it won't meet you in your comfort zone. It waits just beyond it, where things are uncertain, where the path isn't fully lit, where you have to move before you're ready. That's where you find who you are becoming. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Boldness becomes your new standard. Courage becomes a habit. And every time you act, your world expands. You feel more alive, more present, more powerful. You stop shrinking. You stop hiding. You step forward without apology. Your life will not change by chance. It will change by choice. And the most important choices are often the ones that feel scary. But that fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're on the edge of something meaningful. All that's left is to act, not tomorrow, not later, now. One bold move, then another. This is how smart people grow. This is how they rise. And this is how you build the strength to live with purpose, not hesitation. Chapter 7. Create a system to reflect on your progress. Improvement doesn't come from action alone. It comes from understanding how your actions are shaping your life. You can work hard every day, but if you're not tracking where that effort is taking you, you might be going in circles. Real growth demands reflection. You must regularly pause and examine how far you've come, what's working, what's not, and what needs to change. Without reflection, even your best effort becomes guesswork. Smart people don't leave progress to chance. They create a simple, clear, and consistent system to reflect on their movement forward. A system of reflection isn't something complicated. It's a small, deliberate structure you build into your life that forces you to face the truth about how you're spending your time, how you're reacting to challenges, how your habits are evolving, and whether your results match your intentions. Most people avoid this because they'd rather stay busy than be honest, but when you're brave enough to review your progress regularly, you stop drifting and start directing your life with intention. You don't need to be perfect to reflect. You just need to be consistent. A few minutes each day or each week is enough to give you insight that will shape your next decisions. That's the point. Reflection is not about the past. It's about the future. It's about using what you've learned from your experiences to make smarter, clearer, more confident decisions moving forward. The smartest people use reflection like a compass. They don't wait until they're lost to check their direction. They check in often so they never drift too far from their values, goals, or purpose. Start by defining what matters to you. You can't reflect on your progress if you haven't defined what progress looks like. What are you working toward? What are you trying to improve? What habits are you building? What mindset are you cultivating? You must have a target in order to measure your movement. This doesn't mean having a rigid, long-term plan. It simply means knowing what kind of person you're trying to become, so that you can measure whether your choices are moving you closer to that identity. Once you know what matters, build a habit of checking in. Daily reflection is powerful, even if it only takes 5 minutes. Ask yourself simple questions. What did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What did I learn? What drained my energy? What gave me strength? Did I act according to my values? These questions may seem basic, but they reveal patterns. You'll begin to notice the habits that hold you back and the choices that create progress. Over time, you'll stop repeating the same mistakes because you've actually taken time to learn from them. Use a notebook or digital tool to keep a log. Write down your answers so you can track progress over time. You'll start to see trends. You'll notice how your focus improves when you limit distractions. You'll realize how your mindset shifts when you consistently show up, even on hard days. You'll become aware of how your energy rises when you stay aligned with your goals. This awareness is what builds wisdom. You stop living on autopilot and start living with clear awareness of what works. Your system doesn't need to be rigid. It just needs to be repeatable. Maybe you reflect every evening before bed. Maybe you review your week every Sunday. Maybe you set time aside each month to evaluate your bigger goals. The structure doesn't matter as much as the commitment. Consistency builds self-trust, and self-trust builds clarity. The more you reflect, the more clearly you'll see who you are becoming and what needs to shift to keep growing. Reflection also builds emotional intelligence. When you look back on how you reacted to stress, conflict, or failure, you gain insight into your emotional triggers. You begin to understand what makes you reactive, what keeps you calm, what motivates you, and what holds you back. This allows you to respond more wisely in the future. You stop repeating emotional patterns and start choosing better responses. This isn't just mental growth, it's character development. A system of reflection also gives you something most people never feel: progress you can measure. Often, growth feels invisible. You may be working hard, showing up, trying your best, but still feel like nothing is changing. That's because change doesn't always look dramatic. It looks like consistency. It looks like subtle shifts. It looks like fewer mistakes and faster recovery. When you reflect regularly, you see those shifts. You give yourself credit for showing up. You build confidence based on evidence, not hope. You also learn to separate movement from progress. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're effective. Just because you're doing a lot doesn't mean you're growing. Reflection helps you ask the harder question: are the things I'm doing actually helping me move forward? If they're not, you can adjust. If they are, you can double down. That's the benefit of a system. It doesn't leave your growth to emotion or guesswork. It gives you feedback. And feedback is the key to faster, smarter improvement. Another reason reflection is so powerful is because it builds humility. It reminds you that there's always more to learn. It shows you your blind spots without shaming you for them. It keeps you grounded, aware and focused on becoming better, not in comparison to others, but in alignment with who you truly are. Reflection doesn't require you to judge yourself harshly. It requires you to be honest enough to change. This habit also reduces regret. When you reflect often, you catch mistakes sooner. You notice when your energy is going to the wrong things. You see when you're avoiding action. You correct your path before the damage builds. Without reflection, you don't notice you've gone off course until it's too late. But with regular review, small adjustments prevent big problems. Smart people don't see reflection as optional. They see it as a foundation. They don't just act, they observe. They don't just work, they assess. They don't just move, they measure. That's why their progress compounds. That's why they get better year after year. They don't just hope to improve, they systemize it. They reflect on what's real, adjust where needed, and move forward with clarity and purpose. You don't have to figure out everything today. You just have to begin. One check-in, one written note, one clear observation. That's the seed. Then you water it with consistency, and over time your thinking sharpens, your habits evolve, and your progress becomes undeniable. You no longer guess if you're getting better. You know because you're tracking it. You're reflecting on it. You're building a life on a foundation of truth, not illusion. Growth is not accidental. It's built through awareness, intention, and regular review. The system doesn't have to be complex. It just has to exist. Something simple, something steady, something that keeps you connected to your direction and keeps your progress grounded in clarity. This is what smart people do. This is how you make every day count, not just by doing more, but by knowing exactly what your effort is creating. One system, one habit, one reflection at a time. Chapter 8. Build deep curiosity around what others often ignore. Most people walk through life with their eyes open, but their attention closed. They see what's obvious, what's loud, what's popular, but they overlook the small details that carry real depth. They move quickly, think in shortcuts, and miss the layers of meaning hiding in plain sight. Smart people don't do that. They train themselves to notice what others ignore. They build deep curiosity about ordinary things, and that mindset gives them an advantage most people never develop. Because real wisdom isn't always found in the big ideas, it's often found in the things no one else is looking at. Curiosity is not about gathering facts or showing off how much you know. It's about learning how to ask better questions. It's about slowing down enough to wonder why something is the way it is. When you build curiosity around what's overlooked, you discover patterns others miss. You see the roots of behavior, the cause behind the effect, the structure behind the system. You begin to understand people more clearly, solve problems more effectively, and navigate life more intelligently. The questions you ask determine the clarity of the answers you find. Start by becoming curious about your surroundings. Look at the routines in your daily life. Why do people stand the way they do when they're uncomfortable? Why does a room feel different when one specific person walks in? Why are you drawn to certain types of conversations, but not others? What emotions are hiding behind a smile, a silence, or a quick response? These observations seem small, but they're the key to deeper insight. Most people pass over these things, but those who study them develop a kind of inner awareness that separates them from the rest. Becoming curious also means asking questions that don't have easy answers. Don't settle for surface-level explanations. If you hear a popular opinion, ask yourself what evidence it's built on. If you see something go wrong, ask yourself what no one is noticing. When someone makes a mistake, don't just judge it. Try to understand what led up to it. When something works, don't just celebrate it. Study what made it possible. The more curious you are, the more layers you see. And the more layers you see, the more clearly you understand the world and your place in it. This kind of curiosity also builds empathy. When you become deeply interested in people, especially the ones who are often overlooked, you begin to understand how others think and feel in ways you never would by staying on the surface. Listen carefully when someone speaks about their struggles. Don't assume you know. Ask more. Observe their language. Notice what they're not saying. Pay attention to tone, pauses, and patterns. Curiosity builds connection, and connection builds influence. Curious people also learn faster. They don't just absorb information, they pursue it. They ask follow-up questions. They research things that don't make sense. They read books others would ignore. They study their failures. They look for truth even when it's inconvenient. They ask why again and again, until they reach the core. This mindset turns everyday experiences into lessons. Every mistake becomes a case study. Every conversation becomes a source of wisdom. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to learn something new. It's not enough to be curious when something is exciting. You must also be curious when something seems boring. The things people ignore are often the things that carry the deepest truth. Boredom is usually a sign that you're not paying attention. Look again, ask different questions, study what others overlook. You might find that the habits of successful people are built on small, repeated actions that seem unimportant. You might discover that the best ideas come from observing what no one else is studying. You might realize that the answers you've been seeking are sitting quietly in the background, waiting for you to notice. Smart people question the obvious. They don't accept something just because it's been done a certain way for a long time. They ask why rules exist. They challenge assumptions. They dig deeper than most are willing to go. This doesn't mean they're skeptical of everything. It means they want to understand things for themselves. They trust their own thinking more than they trust the crowd, and that makes their insights original, grounded, and valuable. This mindset also sharpens your ability to solve problems. When others are frustrated and stuck, you'll be the one who sees a way forward, not because you're better, but because you asked a better question. You didn't get distracted by surface-level noise. You studied the structure underneath. You noticed the detail that everyone else ignored, and that detail gave you the insight you needed. If you want to become smarter every day, build a habit of slowing down and looking closer. When something frustrates you, study it instead of complaining about it. When something surprises you, ask what you can learn from it. When someone disagrees with you, ask what truth might exist in their perspective. Even if you don't agree, the act of asking stretches your mind. Curiosity is a discipline. It's not passive. It's something you practice every day. Technology and distraction have made it easier than ever to live without depth, but shallow attention leads to shallow thinking. Smart people resist that. They make time to explore. They go deep into topics that most skim past. They train their minds to stay with questions long after others have moved on. And that's where the breakthroughs happen, not in the rush, but in the patience to look closer. You don't have to be naturally curious to build this habit. You just have to start asking better questions. When you watch a documentary, pause, and write down one thing you didn't understand. When you read a book, underline a sentence and ask yourself why it matters. When you speak to someone, ask a question you don't already know the answer to. Build a routine of noticing. It might feel slow at first, but over time, your brain will start connecting ideas in new ways. You'll begin to think more deeply, see more clearly, and understand more fully. There's a quiet power in being the person who sees what others miss. You become more grounded, more observant, more thoughtful. You stop chasing trends and start building depth. You stop copying and start creating, because your thoughts are rooted in understanding, not noise. That kind of thinking doesn't just improve your intelligence, it shapes your identity. You become the kind of person others turn to when they want insight. Not because you speak the loudest, but because you pay attention to what matters. This path won't always be easy. Curiosity takes effort, it takes humility. It means admitting you don't know everything, and being willing to explore without certainty. But it's worth it, because every time you look deeper, you grow. Every time you question what others ignore, you stretch your awareness. Every time you notice something new, you move one step closer to mastery. Smart people build their thinking not on shortcuts, but on substance. They train themselves to ask questions that most don't consider. They find meaning in the small things. They stay curious when others check out, and that mindset, sustained over time, is what builds a life of depth, strength, and true understanding. Not because they had all the answers, but because they never stopped asking better questions. Chapter 9. Practice listening fully without interrupting or reacting. Most people think they're listening when they're really just waiting to speak. They hear words, but their minds are already crafting a reply, forming a judgment, or jumping to a conclusion. True listening is rare because it requires you to be still, not just with your mouth, but with your mind. It demands that you put your full attention on someone else without interrupting, defending, or reacting. And this level of presence is what builds real understanding, deeper relationships, and uncommon emotional intelligence. When you listen fully, you're not just collecting information, you're showing respect, patience, and strength. To listen fully means to slow down your own internal voice long enough to actually receive someone else's. It means you're not just hearing the sound, but absorbing the meaning behind it. You're noticing the tone, the pauses, the choice of words, and the emotion underneath. It means you're not distracted by your phone, your thoughts, or your desire to be right. It means you're not preparing to prove a point, you're preparing to understand a person. This kind of listening doesn't come naturally, it's a habit that must be built, strengthened, and practiced every day. You build this habit by training yourself to stop reacting. You don't interrupt. You don't assume you know what the person will say next. You don't finish their sentences. You don't rush to correct them. You don't let disagreement hijack the moment. You let them speak all the way through. You give them space. You let their words settle before you decide how to respond. This pause, this space between their words and your reply, is where maturity lives. That pause is where your self-control grows. Listening without reacting doesn't mean you agree with everything. It doesn't mean you stay silent forever. It means you value the other person enough to hear them fully before speaking. It means you're not so ruled by your ego that you need to win every conversation. It means you've learned to separate your identity from your opinions, and you don't take disagreement as a threat. When you reach this level of control, your words become stronger because they are no longer driven by impulse. There's a quiet confidence in someone who listens fully. They don't rush, they don't dominate the room. But when they speak, people pay attention because their words come from clarity, not reactivity. This kind of presence is rare in a world full of noise, and that's what makes it powerful. When you listen this way, you begin to notice what others miss. You pick up on small signals. You recognize when someone's words don't match their emotions. You begin to understand people beyond what they say. This is how trust is built, slowly, deeply, and with consistent presence. Listening also builds discipline. It teaches you how to hold your emotional reactions instead of unleashing them. It shows you how to handle criticism without shutting down or lashing out. It forces you to stay calm when you feel defensive. It reminds you that not everything needs a response. Some things just need to be understood. And understanding is what keeps conflict from escalating and turns disagreement into connection. You don't have to agree to understand, but you do have to listen. This practice also helps you in high-pressure situations. When emotions run high, most people lose their clarity. They react out of fear, anger, pride, or insecurity. But when you've trained yourself to listen first, you become steady under pressure. You become the person who brings calm to chaos. You hear what's really being said, not just the words, but the message. You make better decisions because you've taken in more than just your own perspective. You also begin to notice how often people don't feel truly heard. In most conversations, people speak over each other. They interrupt, argue, and try to win instead of understand. But when you become the person who listens without trying to fix, argue, or rush, you give others a rare gift. You make them feel seen. You give them space to express their thoughts without fear. And when people feel safe to speak, they often discover insights they didn't even know they had. That kind of listening helps people grow. This doesn't mean you absorb everything passively. It doesn't mean you become silent and submissive. It means you stay rooted in awareness long enough to respond wisely. Listening fully gives you more time to choose the right response instead of reacting out of emotion. You become someone who brings clarity to conversation, not confusion. You don't add to the noise. You bring peace to it. To develop this habit, begin by practicing silence. When someone speaks, don't interrupt, don't fill the pause, let them finish, even if it takes time. Hold back the urge to jump in. Give your full attention without trying to take control of the dialogue. Notice your reactions, but don't follow them. Just observe. This kind of restraint builds strength. It teaches your mind to wait, to watch, and to choose your words carefully. The more you practice this, the more you realize how often people just need space to process out loud. They don't always need advice. They don't always want correction. Sometimes they just want to feel that someone is actually listening. And when you become that person, you build influence without force. You become memorable not for how loudly you speak, but for how deeply you listen. Listening fully also gives you the power to notice what others are afraid to say. You hear the hesitation, the tension, the pain behind the surface. You become the kind of person who doesn't just respond to noise, you respond to need. And that sensitivity makes you a better leader, a better partner, a better thinker, and a more grounded human being. You cannot grow if you're always speaking. You grow when you stop and absorb, when you let the world speak to you without trying to shape every moment to fit your expectations. Listening reminds you that you don't have to control everything. That silence is not weakness. That presence is more powerful than noise. When you stop reacting, you give yourself time to reflect, and reflection leads to clarity. This habit won't be easy at first. Your mind will want to rush. Your emotions will want to interrupt. Your ego will want to prove something. But with practice, you'll learn how to sit in the space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you'll find peace, clarity, and deeper understanding of both yourself and others. The world needs more listeners. People who aren't rushing to be right. People who aren't controlled by defensiveness. People who don't confuse loudness with strength. Be that person. Listen with your full mind. Respond only when needed. Speak only when your words add value. And over time you'll notice that the more deeply you listen, the more intelligently you speak, and the more people trust what you say, because they know you've taken the time to understand. Chapter 10. Write your thoughts daily to sharpen your clarity. Writing your thoughts every day is more than a habit. It's a powerful tool that shapes your mind and sharpens your clarity. The process of putting your ideas, worries, dreams, and reflections into words forces your brain to organize scattered emotions and chaotic thoughts into a coherent structure. When you write, you slow down your mental chatter and begin to see what really matters. This clarity is not accidental, it's the result of consistent effort to translate your inner world onto the page. Smart people understand this, and they make daily writing a non-negotiable part of their growth. Every day offers a flood of information, emotions, and experiences. Without writing, these flow through your mind like a river without direction. Thoughts overlap, questions remain unanswered, and feelings get lost in confusion. Writing captures these moments. It creates a map of your mind. It helps you identify recurring patterns, hidden fears, unresolved problems, and emerging ideas. When you read back what you've written, you see yourself more clearly. You stop being a passive observer and start becoming an active thinker. This clarity transforms how you approach challenges. Instead of feeling overwhelmed or stuck, you gain perspective. You break down complex problems into manageable pieces. You discover what's within your control and what's not. Writing daily also makes your goals concrete. When you describe your vision in detail, it becomes more real. It moves from abstract hope to actionable plan. You begin to notice gaps between where you are and where you want to be, and that gap fuels motivation. The act of writing creates discipline too. It demands that you show up, even when you don't feel like it. That discipline builds mental strength. It strengthens your focus because you commit to sitting with your thoughts regularly. Even when life is hectic, those moments spent writing ground you. They become a daily check-in with yourself, a moment of honesty where distractions fall away and your inner voice takes priority. Writing also uncovers hidden beliefs that shape your behavior. Many thoughts run beneath the surface, influencing your decisions without you realizing. When you write, these subconscious ideas often emerge. You can challenge them, replace them, or embrace them. This process of uncovering and refining your beliefs is key to growth. It makes your mindset more flexible and your thinking more accurate. You learn to question assumptions and embrace new perspectives. You don't need to be a skilled writer. The value isn't in perfect grammar or eloquence. The value is in honesty and consistency. Write without judgment. Don't censor yourself. Let your thoughts flow freely, knowing this is a safe space for exploration. Over time, your writing will reflect your mental clarity and emotional maturity. You'll become more precise in your language because your thinking is becoming more precise. The best writing habit is simple. Set aside a fixed time daily. It can be 5 minutes or 20. The key is routine. Morning or evening works well, but the time is less important than the commitment. Choose a method that fits your style, a notebook, an app, a voice recorder. The tool doesn't matter. What matters is that the practice becomes non-negotiable. Your thoughts deserve this daily attention. Writing your thoughts also increases creativity. When you clear mental clutter onto paper, you free your mind to make new connections. Ideas combine in unexpected ways. Problems solve themselves in the background while your hand moves across the page. Creativity flourishes in the space that daily writing creates because you are actively engaging with your thoughts instead of letting them swirl aimlessly. You will also find that writing enhances your emotional intelligence. When you describe your feelings, you label and process them. This helps reduce overwhelm and confusion. You can identify triggers and patterns that affect your mood. Understanding your emotions better allows you to respond instead of react. Writing becomes a tool for self-regulation and emotional resilience. Another benefit is that writing builds memory and learning. When you write about something new you've learned, you reinforce it in your brain. The physical act of writing strengthens neural pathways associated with comprehension and retention. This means you don't just accumulate information, you internalize it. Your knowledge becomes part of you, ready to apply when needed. The discipline of writing daily also builds confidence. At first your thoughts may feel messy or unclear. That's natural, but as you continue you'll notice your ability to express yourself improves. You become more certain of your ideas and better able to communicate them. This confidence spills into other areas of life: speaking, decision-making, problem-solving. Because you know your mind is organized and capable, you don't have to write long essays. Even brief notes, bullet points, or short reflections count. The goal is not quantity but quality of presence. The process itself is transformative. Some days you might write about goals, other days about setbacks. Sometimes you reflect on gratitude, other times on fears. The variety keeps the practice fresh and relevant. It mirrors the complexity of your life and mind. When life gets overwhelming, writing is an anchor. It helps you sort through noise and regain focus. When emotions run high, writing is a release valve. It prevents feelings from controlling your actions. When decisions are tough, writing brings clarity. It helps you weigh options without pressure. This makes every choice more deliberate and less impulsive. Writing also improves your critical thinking. When you write, you can spot contradictions in your thoughts or gaps in your logic. You challenge assumptions, clarify goals, and plan next steps. This habit trains your brain to think more deeply and critically. It turns passive thinking into active problem solving. Over time, writing becomes a mirror that reflects your growth. By looking back at past entries, you see your progress clearly. You witness how your mindset evolved, how you overcame obstacles, and how your vision sharpened. This reflection reinforces motivation and deepens self-awareness. It turns abstract growth into tangible proof. The practice of writing daily is a commitment to yourself. It's a dedication to clarity, honesty, and growth. It's a way to take ownership of your inner world and cultivate a mind that is clear, focused, and resilient. This clarity influences every part of your life: how you work, how you relate, how you pursue your goals. It's a foundational habit for anyone serious about becoming smarter every day. In the end, writing is not just about words on a page. It's about thinking clearly, feeling deeply, and living intentionally. It's a conversation with yourself that builds wisdom, strength, and clarity over time. By making writing a daily practice, you create a space where your mind can settle, explore, and grow. This habit sharpens your thinking, strengthens your character, and prepares you to face life's challenges with confidence and purpose. Chapter 11. Ask better questions to unlock deeper understanding. The power of questions is often underestimated. Most people accept answers on the surface and never consider that a better question could unlock deeper insight. The quality of your questions shapes the quality of your thinking and the clarity of your understanding. Asking better questions means moving beyond simple curiosity to strategic inquiry. It means challenging assumptions, exploring motives, and uncovering truths that are hidden beneath initial impressions. This habit transforms how you learn, solve problems, and connect with others. Better questions don't just seek facts. They invite reflection, they provoke thought, they open new possibilities instead of closing them. Instead of asking what happened, you might ask, why did this happen? Or, what can I learn from this situation? These questions encourage a mindset that looks for meaning, not just information. This subtle shift is what separates smart thinkers from those who remain stuck in surface-level understanding. One of the first steps to asking better questions is to slow down your thinking. In a rush, people often accept easy questions and quick answers. This leads to shallow conversations and incomplete solutions. Taking time to pause and reflect allows you to dig deeper. You begin to notice the gaps in your knowledge and the areas that need exploration. The pause between question and answer is where insight grows. Another important skill is to question your own assumptions. Most people hold beliefs and ideas without examining their origins or validity. Asking "what if I'm wrong?" or "how do I know this is true?" challenges your mental models. This openness to doubt is not weakness, but strength. It creates mental flexibility and keeps you from falling into blind spots. It encourages continuous learning and adaptation. Smart questions are often open-ended. They don't demand yes or no answers, but invite explanation. Instead of "is this the right choice?" ask "what factors make this choice right or wrong?" Instead of "did I do well?" ask "what can I improve next time?" Open questions invite richer responses and deeper thinking. They create space for exploration rather than judgment. Good questions are also specific. Vague questions lead to vague answers. The more precise your question, the clearer your insight. Instead of "why am I stressed?" ask "what specific thoughts or situations trigger my stress?" This precision focuses your mind and helps you identify actionable solutions. It moves you from confusion to clarity. Listening carefully to the answers you receive is crucial. Sometimes the best questions come from what others say. Pay attention to inconsistencies, hesitations, or emotions in responses. Use these clues to follow up with new questions. This creates a dialogue of discovery instead of a one-sided interrogation. The goal is not to catch mistakes, but to uncover deeper layers of meaning. In conversations, avoid questions that put people on the defensive. Questions that blame or accuse close down communication. Instead, ask questions that show genuine interest and respect. This builds trust and encourages openness. When people feel heard and understood, they share more honestly. This creates richer understanding and stronger relationships. Developing the habit of asking better questions requires practice. Start by noticing your current questions. Are they mostly factual, judgmental, or reactive? Challenge yourself to reframe them. Turn closed questions into open ones. Turn judgments into curiosities. Notice how this changes the quality of your thinking and interactions. Better questions also enhance creativity. When you ask "what else is possible?" or "how might this work differently?" you open your mind to new ideas. You stop repeating old patterns and start imagining fresh solutions. This mindset fuels innovation and progress. It turns problems into opportunities. In professional settings, asking better questions makes you a valuable collaborator. Leaders who ask insightful questions empower their teams to think independently. They don't just give answers, but guide discovery. This builds a culture of learning and growth. It encourages everyone to take ownership of problems and solutions. On a personal level, better questions improve self-awareness. When you ask "what do I really want?" or "what fears hold me back?" you begin to understand your deeper motivations and barriers. This awareness is the first step toward meaningful change. It moves you from reacting to choosing. The habit of asking better questions also protects against misinformation. In a world overflowing with data and opinions, it's easy to accept false or incomplete ideas. Critical questions help you evaluate sources, check facts, and recognize biases. They sharpen your judgment and keep your thinking clear and grounded. Remember that not all questions need immediate answers. Some questions are meant to live with you. They guide your thinking over time. They invite you to explore different perspectives and experiences. These ongoing questions deepen your wisdom and keep your mind active. Asking better questions shifts your mindset from certainty to curiosity. It makes you comfortable with not knowing and eager to learn. This humility is essential for growth because it opens the door to new understanding. It helps you move beyond fixed opinions and habitual thinking. This skill is essential for anyone committed to lifelong learning. No matter how much knowledge you gain, better questions will lead you to new knowledge. They keep your mind fresh and agile. They transform education from memorizing facts to developing insight. In summary, mastering the art of asking better questions is one of the most powerful habits you can develop. It sharpens your thinking, deepens your understanding, and expands your perspective. It builds stronger relationships and fuels creativity. It protects you from error and guides you toward truth. By practicing this habit daily, you unlock a new level of clarity and wisdom that shapes every area of your life. Chapter 12. Limit distractions by mastering your digital environment. The digital world is filled with endless stimuli designed to grab your attention at every moment. Notifications, messages, social media updates, and a constant stream of information compete for your focus. This digital noise can easily fracture your attention and drain your mental energy, making it difficult to concentrate on what truly matters. Mastering your digital environment is not just about reducing distractions, it's about reclaiming control over your mind and your time. When you manage technology intentionally, you create space for deeper thinking, clearer focus, and greater productivity. Start by becoming aware of how technology affects your attention. Most people underestimate the impact of constant interruptions. Every notification breaks your flow and requires your brain to refocus. This shift takes time and mental effort. Even brief distractions add up and diminish your capacity for sustained concentration. Recognizing this is the first step toward change, because you can't fix what you don't acknowledge. One practical action is to customize your notification settings. Turn off alerts that aren't urgent or essential. Silence social media notifications, promotional emails, and non-critical app alerts. This reduces the impulse to check your device every few minutes. Instead, set specific times during the day to review messages and updates. Creating these boundaries trains your brain to focus on one task at a time instead of being pulled in multiple directions. Decluttering your digital workspace is equally important. Organize files, bookmarks, and apps to minimize the time you spend searching for information. Delete unused apps and unsubscribe from email lists that don't add value. A clean digital environment reduces mental clutter and creates a sense of order that supports focus. The clearer your digital space, the easier it is to concentrate on meaningful work. Using tools like website blockers or focus apps can help reinforce discipline. These tools limit access to distracting sites during designated focus periods. This external structure supports your internal willpower, especially in moments of weakness. Over time, you develop stronger habits of sustained attention by combining technology management with personal discipline. Creating tech-free zones in your daily routine further strengthens focus. For example, designate specific times or places where you completely disconnect from digital devices. This could be during meals, the first hour after waking, or the last hour before bed. These breaks give your mind space to rest and reset. They prevent digital overload and improve your ability to engage fully when you return to work. Establishing rituals around your device usage also helps. Before opening your phone or computer, pause and set a clear intention for what you want to accomplish. Avoid mindless scrolling by focusing only on tasks that align with your priorities. When you treat technology as a tool rather than a distraction, you gain control instead of losing it. Mindful technology use extends to social media and news consumption. These platforms are designed to capture your attention and keep you engaged for as long as possible. Set limits on your time spent on these apps. Be selective about what you follow and consume. Choose sources that add value and avoid those that provoke unnecessary anxiety or negativity. This selective attention helps maintain mental clarity and emotional balance. Another key to mastering your digital environment is protecting your sleep. Avoid screens at least an hour before bedtime to prevent blue light from disrupting your natural rhythms. Quality sleep enhances focus, memory, and decision-making. Prioritizing rest is part of managing your digital habits effectively. Remember that your devices serve you, not the other way around. This mindset shift is crucial. Instead of reacting to every ping, you decide when and how to engage. You become the gatekeeper of your attention. This control reduces stress, increases productivity, and improves overall well-being. Regularly reviewing and adjusting your digital habits keeps you aligned with your goals. What works today might need tweaking tomorrow as technology and your priorities evolve. Periodically assess how your digital environment affects your focus and make necessary changes. This ongoing process prevents stagnation and keeps your habits fresh and effective. Mastering your digital environment also means being present in face-to-face interactions. When you control digital distractions, you can give others your full attention. This deepens relationships and improves communication. People sense when they have your undivided focus, which builds trust and respect. Building this habit requires patience and persistence. Technology is designed to be addictive and distracting. You won't eliminate all interruptions overnight, but each small change compounds over time. By consistently limiting distractions and creating intentional technology habits, you protect your mental energy and sharpen your focus. Ultimately, controlling your digital environment is an act of self-respect. It shows you value your time, your attention, and your goals. It creates a foundation for smarter work, deeper learning, and more meaningful living. When distractions no longer dictate your day, you become more present, more productive, and more in control of your life. Take the first step today by identifying your biggest digital distractions and setting one clear boundary. Whether it's turning off notifications, scheduling tech-free times, or organizing your digital files, these actions build momentum. With consistent effort, you will transform your relationship with technology from one of distraction to one of mastery. This transformation is essential for anyone committed to becoming smarter every day. Chapter 13. Use failure as fuel to rebuild your mindset. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is an essential part of the journey toward growth. Many people fear failure or see it as a sign of defeat. This perspective limits potential and traps individuals in stagnation. Instead, failure can be a powerful fuel to rebuild your mindset, strengthen your resolve, and propel you forward with greater wisdom. Learning to use failure as a tool shifts your relationship with setbacks from one of avoidance to one of active growth. When you experience failure, it often triggers strong emotions like disappointment, frustration, or shame. These feelings are natural, but they don't have to define your response. The key is to move beyond the immediate emotional reaction and analyze what the failure reveals. What lessons does it offer? What assumptions were incorrect? What can be improved? This kind of reflection transforms failure from a dead end into a stepping stone. A mindset rebuilt on failure recognizes that mistakes are part of the learning process, not evidence of inadequacy. It embraces challenges as opportunities for improvement, rather than threats to self-worth. This mental shift requires courage because it involves facing discomfort without running away. It demands honesty in assessing what went wrong and humility in accepting responsibility. But this process is the foundation for resilience. Failure also provides valuable feedback. It highlights weaknesses in your approach, gaps in your knowledge, or areas needing more effort. Instead of ignoring or denying these signals, smart people use them to adjust their strategies. They experiment, iterate, and refine their actions based on what they learn. This cycle of trial and correction is what separates success from repeated failure. One important aspect of using failure as fuel is to separate your identity from your mistakes. Your worth is not determined by success or failure, but by your character and persistence. When failure feels personal, it can lead to discouragement and self-doubt. But when you see it as an event, a data point, or a lesson, you maintain a healthier perspective. This emotional distance allows you to stay motivated and focused on improvement. Rebuilding your mindset after failure also means cultivating patience. Progress is rarely linear. Sometimes setbacks are necessary pauses or redirects, rather than signs that you should quit. Accepting this helps you maintain long-term commitment. It prevents frustration from undermining your efforts and keeps you moving forward with steady determination. Another key is to redefine failure itself. Instead of thinking of failure as losing, redefine it as learning. Each failed attempt brings you closer to the right solution. When Thomas Edison was asked about his thousands of failed light bulb prototypes, he said he didn't fail but found thousands of ways that didn't work. This mindset fuels persistence and creative problem solving. Using failure as fuel also builds emotional strength. When you face setbacks repeatedly without giving up, you develop resilience. You learn how to manage disappointment and bounce back fast. This resilience spills over into other areas of life, making you less vulnerable to stress and more adaptable to change. Reflecting on failure sharpens self-awareness too. You begin to notice patterns that lead to mistakes. Maybe you rush decisions, avoid feedback, or underestimate challenges. Awareness gives you the power to change these habits and make wiser choices in the future. It turns failure into a mirror that reveals your growth areas. Smart people don't just accept failure, they embrace it with curiosity. They ask themselves questions like, what did I learn? How can I do better next time? What skills do I need to develop? This inquisitive attitude transforms failure into an experiment that guides your evolution. It's important to surround yourself with a supportive environment that normalizes failure as part of growth. When failure is stigmatized or punished, fear increases and risk-taking decreases. But in a culture that values learning and effort, failure becomes less threatening and more motivating. Seek out communities, mentors, or colleagues who encourage reflection and improvement instead of judgment. Another practical way to use failure as fuel is to document your setbacks and lessons learned. Writing down what happened, how you responded, and what you plan to change helps consolidate learning. This practice creates accountability and provides a resource to revisit when facing future challenges. It also tracks your progress over time, showing how failure has contributed to your growth. Failure also encourages innovation. When old methods don't work, you're forced to think differently. This necessity drives creativity and opens new paths. Smart people don't see failure as a stop sign but as a fork in the road, leading to unexpected opportunities. Rebuilding your mindset after failure requires action. It's not enough to feel motivated or inspired. You must take concrete steps based on what you've learned. Adjust your plan, try new tactics, or seek additional knowledge. This proactive response turns failure into forward momentum. Understanding that failure is temporary is crucial. It does not define your future unless you let it. Each new day offers a chance to start fresh. This perspective keeps you from being trapped in regret or discouragement. It fuels hope and determination to keep trying. The habit of using failure as fuel also builds confidence. Overcoming setbacks and learning from mistakes proves your capability and strength. This confidence grows with every challenge faced and every lesson applied. It replaces fear with courage and hesitation with action. This mindset shift impacts how you view risk too. Instead of avoiding risk to prevent failure, you take calculated risks because you know failure is part of the process. This willingness to step outside your comfort zone accelerates growth and success. Finally, remember that no one succeeds without failing. The difference is how failure is handled. Those who use failure as fuel become unstoppable learners. They transform setbacks into setups for success. They build mental toughness and clarity that carry them through obstacles. By embracing failure as an essential teacher, you rebuild your mindset with resilience, wisdom, and courage. This habit empowers you to keep moving forward, sharpen your skills, and unlock your full potential. Failure is not the end, but a vital part of becoming smarter every day. Chapter 14. Speak with intention and stop talking without thinking. Speaking with intention transforms communication from mere noise into meaningful connection. Too often, people talk without thinking, filling silence with words that add little value or even cause misunderstandings. This habit scatters attention, wastes energy, and weakens influence. Learning to speak deliberately means choosing your words carefully, focusing on clarity, and understanding the impact of your voice. It's a powerful skill that sharpens your mind, deepens relationships, and builds respect. Every conversation holds potential, whether to solve problems, inspire others, or clarify ideas. Speaking with intention means tapping into that potential by being present and purposeful. Before speaking, consider why you want to say something. What outcome do you hope to achieve? What feelings or facts need expression? When your speech has clear purpose, it becomes focused and effective instead of random or distracting. Pausing before responding is a simple but powerful practice. The brief moment between thought and speech creates space for reflection. This pause allows you to gather your thoughts, assess emotions, and choose the best way to express yourself. Without this pause, words tend to spill out unfiltered and reactive. Over time, practicing this pause trains your brain to speak with greater control and precision. Intentional speaking also requires clarity. Avoid vague language, filler words, or rambling explanations. Speak in a straightforward manner that your listener can easily understand. This builds trust and prevents confusion. When you communicate clearly, people are more likely to listen and respond thoughtfully. Understanding your audience is key to intentional speech. Tailor your words to the person or group you're addressing. Consider their background, knowledge, and emotion. This awareness helps you connect and convey your message effectively. It also shows respect and empathy, which strengthen relationships. Emotional awareness is vital. Speaking impulsively often comes from unprocessed emotions like anger, frustration, or anxiety. When you learn to recognize these feelings before speaking, you can choose whether and how to express them constructively. This prevents harm and keeps conversations productive. Emotional control turns communication into a tool for connection rather than conflict. Intentional speakers also listen deeply. Communication is not just about talking, but about exchanging ideas. Listening fully to others' words and feelings informs your response and enriches the dialogue. When you listen well, your speech becomes more relevant and impactful because it addresses real needs and concerns. Avoiding unnecessary talk saves mental energy and builds respect. When you stop filling silence with meaningless chatter, your words carry more weight. People notice and appreciate thoughtful communication. This creates influence and leadership. Being concise is a sign of intelligence and confidence. Practice expressing your thoughts in simple, strong statements. Avoid over-explaining or qualifying your ideas. This strengthens your voice and reduces confusion. It also makes it easier for others to grasp your points and respond effectively. Intentional speech means being honest without being hurtful. Speak truthfully, but with kindness and tact. This balance nurtures trust and openness. When people sense sincerity and respect, they are more receptive, even to difficult truth. Nonverbal communication supports intentional speaking. Your tone, facial expressions, and body language must align with your words. Mixed signals create doubt or misunderstanding. Being aware of your nonverbal cues enhances your clarity and presence. Over time, speaking intentionally improves your thinking. The habit of organizing thoughts before speaking refines your mental clarity. You learn to analyze ideas more deeply and express them more precisely. This clarity spills into writing, decision-making, and problem-solving. Intentional speech also builds confidence. Knowing you have control over your words reduces anxiety and self-doubt. You become more comfortable in conversations and public speaking. This confidence attracts opportunities and connections. Practicing this skill requires patience. Breaking the habit of talking without thinking takes conscious effort. Start by noticing when you speak impulsively. Challenge yourself to pause and reflect before responding. Over time, this pause becomes automatic and natural. Setting communication goals helps. Decide to focus on listening more, speaking less, or choosing words carefully during specific interactions. Track your progress and celebrate improvements. This intentional practice accelerates growth. Avoiding gossip, complaints, or negative talk is part of intentional speech. These kinds of communication drain energy and damage relationships. Choose to engage in conversations that uplift, inform, or solve problems. This choice builds a positive reputation and mental clarity. When emotions run high, consider delaying responses. Taking time to calm down before speaking prevents regret and misunderstandings. Writing down your thoughts before speaking can also help clarify your message and emotions. Intentional speaking strengthens leadership. Leaders who communicate clearly and thoughtfully inspire trust and commitment. Their words align with actions, creating credibility. This integrity motivates others and drives progress. This habit improves conflict resolution. When you speak with intention, you can express concerns calmly and constructively. This reduces defensiveness and opens space for dialogue. Clear communication transforms conflict into collaboration. In personal relationships, intentional speech fosters intimacy and understanding. Sharing thoughts and feelings honestly and kindly deepens bonds. Listening carefully and responding thoughtfully creates mutual respect and connection. Technology challenges intentional speaking. Digital conversations often encourage impulsive responses or misunderstandings. Applying the same principles, pausing, reflecting, and choosing words carefully improves online communication and prevents unnecessary conflict. Reading and practicing public speaking also develop this skill. Exposure to well-crafted communication models improves vocabulary, expression, and confidence. Practicing speeches or presentations refines clarity and presence. Remember that silence is a powerful tool. Knowing when not to speak creates space for reflection and listening. Silence communicates confidence and thoughtfulness. It invites others to contribute and enriches conversations. Speaking with intention requires ongoing commitment. It's a lifelong practice of self-awareness, empathy, and clarity. Each conversation is an opportunity to refine this skill and deepen your impact. By choosing words deliberately and pausing before speaking, you transform communication into a meaningful exchange. This habit sharpens your mind, strengthens your relationships, and builds influence. Speaking with intention is a cornerstone of personal growth and smarter living. Chapter 15. Wake up earlier to prepare your mind with purpose. Waking up earlier is one of the simplest yet most transformative habits to cultivate. It creates extra time that can be dedicated to preparing your mind with clear purpose before the day's demands begin. The quiet morning hours offer an undisturbed environment perfect for setting intentions, planning, and centering yourself. This habit is a powerful way to take control of your day rather than reacting to it. The first benefit of rising early is gaining uninterrupted time for mental clarity. While the world around you is still, your mind is less crowded by distractions and noise. This peaceful space allows you to organize your thoughts, prioritize tasks, and focus on what truly matters. Starting the day with a calm and intentional mindset builds resilience against stress and chaos that may come later. Early mornings provide a natural opportunity to reflect and set goals. When you wake before others, you can connect with your inner purpose without external pressures. This quiet time supports mindfulness and self-awareness. You can review your values, assess your progress, and commit to specific actions. These practices align your daily efforts with long-term growth. Creating a morning routine amplifies the impact of waking early. Activities like meditation, journaling, or reading enrich your mind and spirit. These habits cultivate discipline and build momentum. Consistent routines anchor your focus and prepare you emotionally for the challenges ahead. The structure you create in the morning flows into the rest of your day, increasing productivity and calm. Waking up earlier also improves energy management. Starting your day with intentional activity activates your brain and body. This boosts alertness and motivation. Rather than rushing or reacting, you begin with control and clarity. The habit promotes a positive cycle where increased energy supports better choices and performance throughout the day. Adjusting your sleep schedule is necessary to wake up earlier without sacrificing rest. Gradually shifting your bedtime earlier ensures sufficient sleep. Prioritize a calming pre-sleep routine to improve sleep quality. Good rest is essential because a well-rested mind functions more clearly and creatively. When you respect your body's need for recovery, waking early becomes sustainable and enjoyable. The discipline to rise early builds mental toughness. It requires resisting the comfort of extra sleep and choosing focus instead. This act of self-control strengthens willpower. Each morning you wake earlier. You reinforce the belief that you are in charge of your habits and your life. This confidence extends to other areas, encouraging proactive behavior and growth. Waking up early creates a psychological advantage. Starting before others gives a sense of progress and accomplishment. This positive momentum boosts confidence and motivation. It shifts your identity toward being someone who takes initiative. This mindset attracts success and opportunities. Use the extra morning time to plan your day realistically. Setting clear intentions helps you avoid aimless busyness. Define your priorities and break tasks into manageable steps. This focused planning prevents overwhelm and increases efficiency. Knowing what to accomplish before distractions arise keeps your mind sharp and directed. Engage in activities that inspire and educate. Reading motivational or educational material stimulates your intellect. This exposure to new ideas fuels creativity and problem-solving. Investing time in learning during morning hours compounds into greater knowledge and skill over time. Incorporate movement or light exercise in your morning. Physical activity increases blood flow and oxygen to the brain, enhancing cognitive function. Even simple stretching or walking improves mood and alertness. This synergy of body and mind prepares you holistically for the day. Avoid rushing through your morning routine. Embrace the slow and deliberate start. This calm pace reduces stress and cultivates presence. It helps you maintain composure and clear thinking under pressure. Beginning the day with intention sets a tone of mindfulness. Reflect regularly on how waking earlier impacts your life. Notice changes in productivity, mood and focus. Adjust your routine to optimize results. This ongoing evaluation keeps you aligned with your goals and promotes continual improvement. Resist common obstacles like hitting the snooze button or staying up late. Strengthen your commitment by reminding yourself of the benefits and your deeper purpose. Accountability partners or morning rituals can support consistency. Celebrate small wins to reinforce the habit. Remember that waking early is not about rigid schedules, but about creating space for meaningful preparation. Even 30 minutes earlier can transform your mindset and day. The goal is quality and intention, not just clock time. As you master waking up earlier, you cultivate a mindset of proactivity and presence. You no longer start days reacting to external demands, but designing your experience. This shift empowers you to become smarter every day by beginning each morning with purpose and clarity. Chapter 16. Read daily with the goal of applied learning. Reading every day is a powerful habit that fuels continuous growth and sharpens your mind. However, reading without intention can lead to wasted time and little real benefit. The true value comes from reading with the goal of applied learning, actively integrating new knowledge into your life and actions. This approach transforms reading from passive intake to dynamic change. Approaching reading as a tool for practical improvement changes your mindset about books and articles. Instead of consuming information for entertainment alone, you focus on extracting lessons that can be used immediately. This mindset creates purpose in your reading habit and maximizes its impact. Every page becomes a potential catalyst for smarter decisions and better habits. Start by selecting materials aligned with your goals and challenges. Choose books that address areas where you want to grow, whether it's leadership, emotional intelligence, health, or creativity. This targeted reading ensures your time is invested wisely. It also keeps you motivated because the content feels relevant and valuable. As you read, engage actively with the material, highlight key points, take notes, and ask yourself questions about how the information applies to your life. This active engagement deepens comprehension and helps transfer knowledge from your mind to practical use. Passive reading often results in forgetting most details, but active reading imprints ideas more firmly. After each reading session, pause to reflect on what you've learned. Consider how these new ideas challenge or confirm your current beliefs and habits. Reflection turns information into insight. It allows you to connect concepts to your personal context and recognize opportunities for change. Apply what you learn quickly and deliberately. Identify one or two actionable steps inspired by your reading. For example, if you read about time management techniques, implement one strategy immediately in your schedule. Testing ideas in real life reveals what works and what needs adjustment. This experimentation accelerates learning far beyond theory. Journaling is a valuable companion to applied learning through reading. Writing about new insights clarifies your understanding and tracks progress. Document challenges faced while applying ideas and solutions discovered. This record serves as both motivation and a reference to deepen your growth over time. Avoid trying to read too many books at once. Focus on mastering the lessons from one source before moving on. Depth of understanding trumps volume. Rushing through books can lead to superficial knowledge without real application. Commit fully to each book to extract maximum benefit. Incorporate varied reading formats like articles, essays, or podcasts related to your learning goals. This diversity reinforces ideas and provides different perspectives. Exposure to multiple viewpoints encourages critical thinking and richer understanding. Reading with applied learning sharpens critical evaluation skills. You begin to question the reliability and relevance of information. This discernment protects you from misinformation and helps build a solid foundation of useful knowledge. It trains your mind to separate valuable insights from noise. Sharing what you learn with others further solidifies your grasp. Teaching or discussing new concepts requires clear understanding and helps identify gaps in your knowledge. It also creates accountability for applying what you've read. Community conversations inspire new applications and sustain motivation. Set realistic daily reading goals to maintain consistency. Even 15 to 20 minutes per day adds up significantly over weeks and months. Regular reading creates a steady flow of ideas and keeps your mind engaged. Consistency beats intensity when building lasting habits. Create an environment conducive to focused reading. Choose a quiet space free from distractions. This allows deeper concentration and better retention. Quality reading time is more important than quantity when it comes to applied learning. Track progress by reviewing notes and journals periodically. Assess which concepts have been successfully integrated and which need more work. This review cycle promotes continuous refinement and growth. It keeps your learning active rather than stagnant. Recognize that some books may challenge your existing worldview or require uncomfortable changes. Embrace this discomfort as a sign of growth. Applying difficult lessons builds resilience and expands your capabilities. Avoid multitasking while reading. Full attention enhances absorption and critical thinking. When distracted, information slips away unnoticed. Focused reading respects your time and the value of the material. Balance reading with action. Knowledge without imitation has little effect. Use reading as a bridge from understanding to transformation. This approach ensures your intellectual efforts lead to real-life improvements. As you develop this habit, reading becomes a source of inspiration and problem-solving. It equips you with tools and perspectives that empower smarter choices. Applied learning creates momentum in personal development and lifelong success. Ultimately, reading daily with the goal of applied learning turns knowledge into power. It transforms books from static text into dynamic guides for living wisely. This habit sharpens your mind and expands your capacity to adapt and thrive. It's a cornerstone of becoming smarter every day. Chapter 17. Apply one new idea to your real life today. Ideas alone hold little power until they are put into action. Applying one new idea to your life today creates a bridge between knowledge and transformation. This simple step turns learning into growth, moving you closer to becoming smarter every day. Choosing a single idea and acting on it immediately creates momentum and builds confidence in your ability to improve. Taking action on a new concept begins with selecting an idea that resonates with your current challenges or goals. It should feel meaningful and relevant, not overwhelming. This ensures motivation and commitment. Whether it's a mindset shift, a practical habit, or a fresh perspective, one focused change can spark significant progress. Commitment is crucial. Deciding to implement an idea means prioritizing it amidst competing demands. This dedication separates wishful thinking from real progress. By focusing on one change, you avoid dilution of effort and increase the likelihood of success. Small focused actions compound into substantial improvements over time. Preparation is part of applying an idea. Think through the steps needed to integrate the concept into your routine. What resources, tools, or support will you require? Planning clarifies the process and reduces resistance. When obstacles arise, preparation helps you stay on track rather than giving up. Start immediately. Procrastination kills potential. Acting today reinforces your belief that change is possible now, not someday. Immediate application transforms ideas from abstract concepts into lived experience. This real-world practice refines understanding and reveals nuances not visible in theory. Track your progress carefully. Observe how the new idea affects your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Notice both improvements and challenges. This awareness fuels continuous learning and adjustment. Reflect on what works and what needs modification. Such feedback loops accelerate mastery. Applying one new idea also requires flexibility. The first attempt may not be perfect. Being open to tweaking your approach increases effectiveness. It encourages experimentation rather than rigid adherence. This adaptability fosters resilience and creativity. Involving others can enhance implementation. Sharing your new idea with a friend, mentor, or coach creates accountability and support. Discussing challenges and successes provides encouragement and fresh insights. Collaboration often makes change easier and more enjoyable. Celebrate small victories as you integrate the idea. Acknowledging progress builds motivation and reinforces positive habits. Recognition of effort strengthens your commitment and self-belief. Over time, these celebrations accumulate into sustained transformation. Be mindful of the impact on your environment. Introducing change may require adjusting your physical space, schedule, or relationships. Creating supportive conditions eases adoption. Removing distractions or negative influences helps maintain focus on the new habit. Remember that consistent application matters more than perfection. Occasional slips are natural and do not negate progress. Persistence in reapplying and refining the idea leads to lasting change. This mindset reduces discouragement and maintains momentum. Applying a new idea today also sharpens decision-making skills. The process of choosing, planning, and acting develops clarity and confidence. Each successful application reinforces your ability to identify and implement beneficial changes. This habit builds courage. Taking action on unfamiliar concepts involves risk and discomfort. Facing these challenges expands your comfort zone and mental toughness. Overcoming hesitation boosts overall growth and readiness for future opportunities. Applying ideas creates a feedback cycle where learning informs action and action deepens learning. This dynamic keeps development active and evolving. It prevents stagnation and cultivates curiosity. Incorporating new ideas daily also nurtures creativity. Exposure to fresh concepts combined with real-world practice sparks innovative solutions. This continual refresh keeps your mind agile and open. Be selective about which ideas to apply. Avoid overloading yourself with too many changes at once. Prioritize based on impact and feasibility. Quality and depth of application outperform quantity. Document your experiences with the new idea. Writing down results, feelings, and lessons solidifies understanding. This record serves as a resource for future growth and reflection. Recognize that every idea applied today influences your tomorrow. Small actions accumulate into a transformed life. Each step forward strengthens your trajectory toward greater wisdom and effectiveness. Acting on new ideas also deepens self-awareness. You gain insight into your habits, strengths, and areas for improvement. This awareness guides better choices and personal alignment. In summary, applying one new idea to your life today is a powerful practice that converts knowledge into meaningful progress. It fosters discipline, courage, and clarity. This habit transforms learning from passive accumulation into active transformation. Each applied idea brings you closer to your best self and a smarter way of living. Chapter 18. Cut out noise and spend time alone in silence. In a world saturated with constant noise and endless distractions, Intentionally cutting out noise and spending time alone in silence is a profound act of self-care and mental strengthening. Silence is not emptiness, it is a powerful space where clarity, creativity, and deep self-understanding emerge. Choosing to embrace silence amidst the chaos allows your mind to reset and your inner voice to become audible. Noise clutters not just your environment, but also your thoughts. The barrage of notifications, conversations, advertisements, and media creates a constant flood of information that overwhelms the brain's natural processing capacity. This overload leads to mental fatigue, reduced focus, and stress. Cutting out this noise creates breathing room for your mind to recover and function at its best. Silence provides an opportunity for deep reflection. When external stimuli are minimized, you can turn your attention inward. This inward focus helps identify true desires, values, and concerns that get lost in the daily rush. Silence fosters self-awareness, allowing you to recognize habitual thought patterns and emotional reactions that shape your experience. This awareness is essential for intentional growth and smarter decision-making. Being alone in silence cultivates mental discipline. In stillness, distractions no longer pull your attention in multiple directions. This focus trains your brain to resist impulses and maintain calm observation. Over time, this mental training strengthens resilience against stress and anxiety, enabling you to approach challenges with steadiness and clarity. Silence also enhances creativity. Many breakthrough ideas and insights arise in moments of quiet solitude. Without external noise competing for attention, your subconscious mind can connect disparate thoughts and solve problems in novel ways. Spending time alone in silence encourages innovation and deep thinking, both essential for personal and professional growth. The practice of silence deepens your relationship with yourself. In silence, you become more attuned to your emotions, physical sensations, and intuition. This connection nurtures emotional intelligence and authenticity. You learn to listen without judgment and respond with greater wisdom and compassion. Creating dedicated time for silence is a deliberate choice. It may begin with just a few minutes daily, gradually extending as comfort grows. Silence can be practiced anywhere: a quiet room, a nature walk, or simply sitting still with eyes closed. The location matters less than the commitment to undisturbed presence. Silence acts as a reset button. After exposure to noisy environments or stressful situations, taking time alone in silence calms the nervous system. It reduces cortisol levels and promotes relaxation. This physiological effect restores energy and improves mental clarity, preparing you for effective action. Cutting out noise also involves setting boundaries with technology. Devices and screens are major sources of distraction and sensory overload. Limiting exposure to social media, news, and non-essential notifications creates space for quiet reflection. Designating tech-free periods each day encourages mindful presence and reduces mental clutter. Intentional silence enhances listening skills. When you practice stillness, you become better at truly hearing others and yourself. This improved listening deepens connections and communication. Silence invites patience and openness, qualities that enrich relationships and collaboration. Silence supports better sleep quality. Evening routines that include unplugging and quiet reflection signal the body to prepare for rest. Reducing noise exposure before bedtime improves relaxation and helps regulate circadian rhythms. Well-rested minds are sharper and more resilient. Time alone in silence may initially feel uncomfortable as it confronts you with your thoughts and feelings. Resistance is natural, but facing this discomfort builds courage and emotional strength. Overcoming the urge to fill silence with distractions fosters deeper self-trust and presence. Practicing silence regularly cultivates mindfulness. This practice centers attention on the present moment without judgment or reaction. Mindfulness nurtures calmness and emotional balance. It sharpens awareness and enhances decision-making by reducing impulsivity. Silence also encourages gratitude and perspective. In quiet moments, you can appreciate life's simple blessings and gain clarity on what truly matters. This perspective reduces anxiety about future uncertainties and regrets about the past. It grounds you in the present reality. Spending time alone in silence can inspire spiritual growth. Many traditions value silence as a path to inner peace and connection with something greater than oneself. Regardless of belief, this practice deepens a sense of meaning and purpose beyond external achievements. Incorporate silence into daily routines intentionally rather than waiting for it to occur by chance. Schedule moments for stillness, such as morning meditation, quiet breaks during work, or evening reflection. This consistency creates a habit that strengthens over time. Balance silence with social interaction. Both solitude and connection are essential for well-being. Silence nourishes the inner world while relationships enrich the external experience. Maintaining this balance fosters holistic growth. Observe how silence changes your mood and thoughts. Notice increased calmness, reduced anxiety, and clearer thinking. Use these observations to motivate continued practice. Over time, the benefits compound, transforming your mental and emotional landscape. Silence also teaches humility and acceptance. It shows that you are not defined by constant activity or external validation. Embracing quietness develops patience and the ability to wait for the right moment or insight. Cutting out noise and spending time in silence is an act of respect for your mind and life. It honors the need for rest, clarity, and growth. This practice empowers you to live with intention, making wiser choices and responding rather than reacting. Silence enhances gratitude for language and communication. When you value quietness, your words gain power and significance. You speak with more thought and listen with more attention. Enriching interactions. Ultimately, silence is a fertile ground where wisdom grows. It prepares you to face life's complexities with calm confidence and clarity. This habit strengthens your mental foundation and supports every other aspect of becoming smarter every day. Chapter 19. Observe smart people and copy how they think. Observing smart people offers a direct path to understanding effective thinking patterns that lead to success. Their habits, decision-making, and perspectives hold lessons that can accelerate your own growth. By carefully watching how they approach problems, manage emotions, and prioritize goals, you gain practical blueprints to improve your mindset and behavior. Smart people tend to approach challenges with curiosity rather than fear. They ask questions to clarify the situation instead of jumping to conclusions. This habit of inquiry expands their understanding and uncovers solutions others might miss. Emulating this curiosity encourages you to explore possibilities before reacting, enhancing your problem-solving skills. They also embrace complexity without becoming overwhelmed. Instead of avoiding difficult issues, smart individuals break them into manageable parts and analyze them systematically. This measured approach prevents impulsive decisions and builds confidence in handling uncertainty. Adopting this mindset trains your brain to stay calm and strategic amid chaos. Smart thinkers accept mistakes as part of learning. They view failures not as setbacks, but as data points that reveal what doesn't work. This growth-oriented attitude reduces fear of failure and encourages experimentation. Observing this resilience helps you cultivate a mindset where obstacles become opportunities for improvement rather than threats. They manage emotions effectively, maintaining composure even under pressure. Emotional regulation allows clear thinking and rational choices. Watching how smart people pause, breathe, or reframe negative thoughts teaches practical tools to master your own emotional responses. This skill is crucial for sustaining focus and decision quality. Prioritization is a hallmark of intelligent thinking. Smart people identify what matters most and allocate their time accordingly. They avoid distractions and say no to non-essential demands. Learning to prioritize like them helps you conserve energy for high-impact tasks, increasing productivity and satisfaction. They also practice active listening and seek diverse perspectives. By genuinely considering others' viewpoints, smart people enrich their own understanding and avoid blind spots. Observing this openness encourages humility and broadens your thinking beyond personal biases. This habit fosters collaboration and innovation. Smart individuals are disciplined in their routines. They create systems that support their goals and minimize wasted effort. This consistency builds momentum and frees mental resources for creative thinking. Modeling such discipline inspires you to design habits that align with your ambition. They remain adaptable, ready to pivot when circumstances change. Flexibility in thinking enables smart people to navigate uncertainty with grace. Watching how they balance conviction with openness teaches the value of evolving your views without losing core principles. Smart thinkers engage in continuous learning. They regularly consume knowledge from varied sources and reflect on their experiences. This commitment to growth keeps their minds sharp and perspectives fresh. Emulating this lifelong learning habit stimulates curiosity and intellectual humility. They ask powerful questions that probe deeper than surface-level issues. This skill reveals root causes and uncovers hidden assumptions. Observing how smart people question helps you develop critical thinking that goes beyond quick fix. Smart people communicate clearly and intentionally. They express ideas precisely and tailor their message to the audience. This clarity ensures understanding and influence. Mimicking this communication style enhances your ability to connect and persuade effectively. They maintain a long-term focus, balancing immediate needs with future goals. This vision guides decisions and prevents short-sightedness. Learning from this foresight encourages you to think beyond instant gratification towards sustainable success. Smart thinkers cultivate patience and persistence. They understand that meaningful progress often requires sustained effort over time. Observing their steady dedication helps you develop endurance for your own ambitions. They also show gratitude and recognize contributions of others. This attitude builds positive relationships and fosters support networks. Adopting gratitude improves emotional well-being and social bonds. Smart people practice self-awareness, regularly reflecting on their strengths and weaknesses. This honest appraisal guides personal development and authentic leadership. Modeling this introspection encourages you to seek continuous self-improvement. They embrace simplicity by focusing on essentials and avoiding unnecessary complications. This minimalist mindset clarifies priorities and conserves energy. Observing this clarity motivates you to streamline your own thinking and actions. Smart thinkers balance confidence with humility. They trust their knowledge while remaining open to new information. This equilibrium prevents arrogance and promotes learning. Following this example builds both self-assurance and openness. They manage time intentionally, scheduling focused work periods and breaks. This rhythm optimizes mental performance and prevents burnout. Learning these time management strategies enhances your efficiency and well-being. They maintain physical and mental health as foundational to smart thinking. Regular exercise, proper rest, and mindful practices support cognitive function. Observing this holistic approach encourages you to care for your body and mind equally. Smart people contribute value generously, sharing knowledge and supporting others. This mindset fosters collaboration and mutual growth. Emulating generosity builds strong networks and enriches your learning environment. They stay grounded in reality while maintaining optimism. This balance ensures practical action without pessimism or blind hope. Watching this balanced outlook inspires realistic and hopeful perspective. Smart thinkers resist impulsive judgments by seeking evidence and considering consequences. This cautious approach improves decision quality and reduces regret. Modeling this prudence encourages thoughtful reflection before acting. They celebrate progress and milestones, recognizing effort as well as outcomes. This positive reinforcement sustains motivation and joy in the journey. Adopting this practice cultivates a healthy relationship with achievement. Observing smart people provides a living curriculum for mastering thought and action. Copying their thinking patterns is not about imitation, but about internalizing effective principles. This learning method accelerates your development and empowers you to navigate life with wisdom and confidence. Ultimately, by paying close attention to how smart people think and act, you equip yourself with proven strategies for success. This practice transforms abstract knowledge into practical skills. It nurtures a mindset of continuous improvement and resilience. Becoming smarter every day begins with the deliberate observation and adoption of the thinking habits that lead to real and lasting growth. Chapter 20. End each day by reviewing what you learned. Ending each day by reviewing what you learned is a powerful habit that transforms ordinary experiences into meaningful growth. This daily reflection is a moment to pause, consolidate insights, and prepare for continuous improvement. It helps you turn the day's events and lessons into lasting wisdom, making every day a step toward becoming smarter and more effective. The practice begins with intentionality. As the day closes, set aside dedicated time free from distractions. This deliberate pause signals to your mind that learning and growth are priorities. Creating a quiet, focused environment supports deep reflection and clarity. Reviewing what you learned requires honest and curious examination of the day's experiences. Consider successes, challenges, new knowledge, and unexpected lessons. This holistic view captures a full picture of your growth and reveals patterns that might otherwise go unnoticed. Reflection deepens understanding by connecting experiences with your goals and values. You ask yourself how what happened aligns with your larger purpose. This alignment ensures that learning is not random, but directed and meaningful. It encourages intentional living rather than reactive existence. Journaling can be a useful tool in this process. Writing down thoughts clarifies them and creates a record for future reference. Notes allow you to track progress over time and revisit insights that might fade from memory. This documentation becomes a personal guidebook for growth. Ask specific questions during your review to guide exploration. For example, what new idea did I encounter today? How did I handle a particular challenge? What could I improve tomorrow? These questions direct attention toward actionable insights and solutions, rather than vague generalities. Celebrate achievements, no matter how small. Acknowledging progress reinforces motivation and builds confidence. This positive focus encourages continued effort and resilience, especially when facing setbacks. Recognizing wins keeps you engaged in the growth journey. Identify mistakes or setbacks as opportunities for learning rather than reasons for discouragement. Analyzing errors with curiosity reveals root causes and alternative approaches. This mindset transforms failure into a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. Consider how your emotions influenced your actions and decisions. Emotional awareness helps you understand triggers and responses, creating space for improved regulation. Reflecting on feelings enhances emotional intelligence, a key factor in smart thinking. Reviewing also promotes gratitude by highlighting what went well and what you appreciate. Gratitude shifts perspective away from negativity and scarcity, fostering a mindset of abundance and possibility. This attitude supports mental health and creativity. Daily review builds self-discipline, making reflection a consistent habit, strengthens commitment to personal development. Over time, this discipline becomes automatic and deeply embedded in your routine. The habit encourages mindful awareness. By consciously observing your experiences, you move from automatic living to deliberate action. Mindfulness increases presence and sharpens decision-making. Reflection can reveal limiting beliefs or habits that hinder growth. Becoming aware of these mental blocks is the first step toward change. This insight fuels the ongoing refinement of your mindset. Use insights from your review to set clear intentions for the next day. Intentions provide direction and focus, improving productivity and fulfillment. Planning based on reflection turns learning into concrete action. Sharing reflections with a trusted friend, mentor, or coach can deepen understanding and accountability. Discussing lessons learned opens new perspectives and strengthens resolve. This social element enriches the learning process. Avoid rushing through the reviews. Give yourself time to explore thoughts and feelings fully. Depth of reflection determines the quality of insights gained. Recognize that some days may offer clearer lessons than others. Accepting this variability reduces frustration and keeps you engaged. Consistency matters more than perfection in the long run. Incorporate review into existing routines, such as before bedtime or after dinner. This integration makes the habit sustainable and natural. Reviewing daily reinforces a growth mindset. It reminds you that intelligence and abilities develop through effort and reflection. This belief sustains motivation and resilience. Consider both internal changes and external results during reflection. Balancing self-improvement with tangible outcomes ensures comprehensive growth. Over time, the habit sharpens your ability to analyze situations and make smarter decisions quickly. This skill improves both personal and professional life. Reflection also deepens self-compassion. Acknowledging progress and setbacks kindly encourages persistence without harsh judgment. This practice cultivates wisdom by accumulating experiential knowledge. Wisdom goes beyond information. It is the thoughtful application of learning. Daily review builds this vital quality steadily. Incorporating this habit helps you live intentionally rather than reactively. It supports clarity in choices and alignment with your highest goals. Ultimately, ending each day by reviewing what you learned is a transformative ritual that empowers continuous growth. It turns everyday experiences into a rich source of wisdom and prepares you to face tomorrow smarter and stronger. This simple yet profound practice is a cornerstone of becoming smarter every day.